There is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment. And here, we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And welcome to the show, everybody. We've got a very special guest here, and I say that in all sincerity. His name is John Diggs, and people, Michelle, are going, John Diggs. I remember that name. I know that name. Where do I know that name from? And if you're watching the State Cougar, that's where you know that name from. Michelle, how are you today?
You know, it's been quite a challenging day, but I've pulled myself fully around and I've waited to get to talk to Mr. John Diggs. So I'm very excited for this. Everybody follow along with us on his website at johndiggs with 2gs.com. And welcome, John, for being here. Thank you so much for joining us in. How are you?
I am very well for a Thursday. I feel good. Thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this as well. You guys are so awesome, and I love the energy, and I need some good energy today. You guys are making it feel just right. I appreciate it.
Well, just talk about your bio a little bit. You played for the Washington State Cougars. You probably beat the Huskies, the University of Washington Huskies during your career, and you played with some great quarterbacks and some great teammates. And then you were in the Not for Long League, that's called the NFL, by the way, for 3 years with Houston, and also with a team that is now in. I find it hard to believe that the NFL is actually in Las Vegas, but at that time they were the Los Angeles Raiders and played at the Coliseum. What's it like to play in the Coliseum? That was a huge place, by the way.
Yeah, well, that's my hometown. I'm from Los Angeles, so I went there a few times, and actually at Washington State, we played in there a couple of times against USC. So I was familiar with the stadium, but yeah, it's a big crowd. I think it's 100,000, somewhere close to it. So yeah, it was a good experience playing the game I love at that time in such a large audience with my parents and family all in the stands and all of that. That was super cool.
Yeah, and that stadium is so big that the football players look like real itty bitty people that are at the bottom that they have to get binoculars to see everybody and stuff. But I digress. It's really cool for you to be here, and I like to and thank you. And you've got a program that you call Michelle. I'll have you say it because I'm going to screw it up.
Yes, well, I'm obsessed with this, so I hope everybody else is too. He says that whether you're a professional, student, or athlete, it's time to make Mappineer a life you love. So what exactly, John, is Mappineering, and how did you find it?
Oh, yeah. Well, good. Well, Mappineering is basically my style of mind mapping. Back in once I retired from playing professional football, I immediately got into mortgage industry, opened up my own mortgage company in early 2000s, built a pretty big, one of the Southern California's largest mortgage brokerages, actually. Living this great. I actually made more money as a businessman than I ever did as a professional football player than those mortgage days. But then the mortgage meltdown hit 2007, 2008. I became homeless, lost literally everything that I owned and loved and identified, including wife and kids, everything gone. It was really, really a dark moment in my life. I actually moved back to my mom's house because I had nowhere else to live. And at that time, I took a gym bag, a bicycle, and a big box that I had full of all this motivational books, CDs, DVDs that I collected over the years. And as I started going through that box, I ran across this book called The Mind Map Book by Tony Buzan. I don't remember ever buying it myself. Somebody must have given it to me, but for whatever reason, it resonated with me at this time. I read it and it changed my life. It totally changed my life, so much so that I actually went from rags to riches because of mind maps, I transformed my life in less than 8 months, to where I went from literally homeless, having nothing, to a nice 6-figure paying career, which I've been doing for the last 16 years, which is a mortgage software developer. And ever since mind mapping came into my life, it transformed my life. But when COVID came and we were stuck in a pandemic, I decided to start writing books and sharing what this mind mapping tool was empowering me to do with my life. And since then, I wrote 10 books on the subject, became an international best-selling author. I did a TEDx talk actually on this subject, on how it came into my life and transformed my life. But once I got into the world of mind mapping around the world globally, because there's a universal tool like that, I realized and learned that mind mapping, for those who have heard of it, traditionally use it for 3 ways: either brainstorming, note taking, or project management. Those who even know about it. But in my understanding over the last 6 years of interacting with other mind mappers around the world, I found that I'm the only one that's coaching it, teaching it, writing about it, using it as a personal development tool. So I wanted to kind of distinguish my style from the traditional style, which coined the phrase Mappineering, engineering beautiful mind maps to love your life more, essentially. So that's what Mappineering stands for.
John, I got to ask you, why do you think it is that so many of us don't love our lives?
I think most people aren't really clear, or haven't consciously chosen who they are in their lives. Therefore, they're looking externally for a justification of who they are, comparing themselves, judging themselves by a lot of external stimuli versus really being clear on who they are within themselves. And just in my work, again, over the last 6 years, I've been really helping people get clear with who they are. And once they get clear on who they are, then they determine what they want to be, do, and have to truly love their lives. Because I believe once people really get clear on who they are, that empowers them to truly love their lives. So most people don't love their lives because they're not really congruent and clear on who they are.
That a lot of that doesn't have to do with the fact, and you said it, it's the choice. And whenever you tell somebody, you have a choice, and they say, "Well, I don't have a." What do you mean choice? Who said that?
Right.
Do you ever get anybody that says that?
Oh, all the time. Unfortunately, again, we're not. There's most of us humans, and this is globally, never really go through a process in their lives to just sit down and say, "This is who I am. This is what I want to do with my life. These are my core foundational principles that I'm gonna live my life by." Therefore, people that don't go through that, yeah, they don't really understand that they do have choice on how they live their lives. They feel like they're in reaction mode. I got to react to everything versus proactively taking action to create the life that they love. So yeah, I hear it all the time. But those are some of my clients I work with, all the time, to get them to see it.
well, and there's good news and bad news. The good news is you're never going to run out of clients.
Yeah.
The bad news is you're never going to run out of clients.
Indeed.
Because,
I love it though.
Well, and you're good at it, and you're somebody that can help people mappineer their own life because you've gone through it. You went through you grew up, went through the university, or the Washington State University, and then you went to riches, and then rags, and then back to riches, which is a little inverted, but by the way,
Right.
But you went through your bad country music song period of 2007, 2008, when the mortgage business went to hell, but you, because of your resiliency and the person that you are, you were able to recover from that to do what you're doing now. Congratulations on all of that.
Yeah, thank you. What was really powerful was when I was at my mother's house. It was really a dark, dark, dark period. having millionaire lifestyle and forced to sleep on a couch that you actually bought for your mother. It was really a challenging thing for me. But the beauty of that experience was that, I started mind mapping. The first thing I did when I understood mind mapping is I started mind mapping the contents of that box. So I started mind mapping books like Think and Grow Rich, Unlimited Power, The Power of Now. I mean, all of the biggest self-help books ever. I really spent time mind mapping those books, and it really opened me up to not just to the power of mind mapping, but it it gave me a deeper understanding of what all of those thought leaders, were trying to communicate. Tony Robbins, Wayne Dyer, all of those guys, what they were actually saying, because a mind map, when you get it out there, out in a visual form, it gives you greater perspective of whatever it is you're thinking about. That's the power of mind map. Is that it gives you, it gives you a structure and a hierarchy of information that you can't get in your mind or in a bullet list kind of deal that we're used to. But after doing 3 months of that, I said it took 8 months to transform. The first 3 months, I just spent all day, every day, just mind mapping these books. And I was able to extract two key things out of that process, that I realized all of the thought leaders were all talking about the same thing. They just had different strategies, different philosophies, different system of thoughts. But all of them was basically saying one thing: the purpose of life is just simply to love it. That was it. We got our own strategies and our own philosophies, but everybody was just talking about, hey, you follow this strategy, you use this approach, you pray to this God or whatever that is. The whole point of it was just to love this experience of life. So that really got clear to me in a deeper level than never before. But then I also learned that in that same process, that in order to truly love life, you have to get clear on who you are first, and really develop that relationship with yourself. And it comes from within first, not from without first. And those two principles that I've been living by ever since. And it's just, yeah, it helps me love and live my best life for sure. I never forget it.
Well, Michelle, it's awesome that we get to talk to John Diggs. And I know you have a fistful of questions for him.
Yeah, well, majorly, I'm hearing what you're saying, John, and I'm really just absorbing it, because when you learn that, you can't unlearn it, if that makes sense. So I know what you mean by it changes everything. And you guys were talking about choices, right? You make that first distinct choice like you did,
Mhm.
but it wasn't just one time.
Yeah.
Whether it's many, many times a day, whether it's when you wake up, whether it's when you go to sleep, you have that reminder. It's the continuous choice to
Mhm.
continue making that choice.
Yep.
And it also, for me especially, it's broken the world open in so many ways of being so much more beautiful and experience and enjoying the journey, like Kevin says, and having there be love. Because now, as things come and go, to me, there isn't really failure. There's lessons, and everything is a lesson, right? But I don't really see anything as a downfall anymore, because I understand that how I perceive it is what actions I'll take that will go forward, that either make that statement true or not. And so
Yep.
when I think we get that decision of deciding, it can be a little bit frustrating. And I'm
Mhm.
wondering, did you ever have a time where you were just like, I'm so sick of having to make this choice over and over and over again?
Yeah, you hit it spot on. I mean, life is always going to throw you curveballs.
Yeah.
Life is always going to have unexpected. We live in expectations, and you're not always going to get your expectation. And you're right. You're gonna, when you're faced with those expectations that you don't meet, those are growth moments for you to, to really kind of step back and change your perception of it, or control your perception, or manage your perception of whatever you're dealing with. And again, I fall back to mind mapping all the time. You know what I mean? To where there is a mappineering exercise that I call the 5 W's and H. To where if you have a decision, you just grab a piece of paper, right in the middle, just put whatever that title of whatever that decision you want to be, or have in there, title it. Then from there, you just draw these 6 circles: who, what, where, when, why, and how around, and they all connect to the center topic of your decision that you're trying to make. And from there, you just spend time just thinking about, all right, who's involved in this decision? Who shouldn't be involved in this decision? Who is this decision going to impact? So you can start going through all the who's, then you go to the what's, and what does this decision entail? Then you go to the when should I make the decision? Where should I make the decision? How should I make it? Why should I make it? And once you spend this whole time going through the who, what, where, whys, and hows of your decision, and now you can zoom back and push it away. After you do an exercise like that, you'll know what the decision you need to make, because now you've got so much greater perspective of that decision.
Yeah.
You see all the particulars of the decision that you will always, yes, always, it reveals what your next best step should be.
I love
Because
that
now
because it
Yeah.
gives your mind a space to actually think logically about it.
Right.
It's like, let's pull this outside of me and look at it. I love that, John. I could picture going in someone's house and you just see all these circles everywhere, all these papers, and you're like, I've got all these decisions that I've had to make.
Yeah, but it's so wonderful. I work with so many people now that who are faced with monumental decisions, leaving marriages, new career, what do I do now that I'm, a widow? I've dealt with a lot of those things, and a lot of people come overloaded, overwhelmed. I call it loud. They're really stressed and tense because they got all of this stuff in their mind that's unsorted and swirling. But once we get it out and now put it in this map form where there's structure and organization, you can really see the piece just all of a sudden they just relax, because it's no longer just in here. It's now in a structured mode where they have more control and organization of it, to where they now open their mind up even further to make an informed decision, versus when it's just in here, people second guess their decisions because they feel like I don't know all the particulars. Am I really making a good decision? I got to talk to everybody under the sun and ask their advice. Is this the right decision? Where if you just map that out, took your time with it, it'll tell you whether, what you should do. And I do that for problems too, because if it's not a decision, you can put a problem right in the center. Whatever problem you're dealing with, who's involved with the problem, what is the problem, where is the problem, when is the problem, why is the problem, how are you going to fix the problem? You go through a whole problem scenario like that. Call it the 5 W's and H Mappineering template. And I've worked with some people that literally came to me in tears. We just went through this whole process, and you can just see just the release of just stress, because it's no longer a first person problem. Now they're kind of looking at it out here like, okay, I see the components, I see the pieces of it, and it's easier for me to put this puzzle together now that I see all of the pieces, versus them just being all swirling around in my head. So when I deal with those things, Rochelle, I just immediately even if it's just a random crazy thought or a phone call or something, or a mood, I may wake up a little off. I'll just put that in the middle. What am I actually feeling? I just set it right in the middle of the map. And I just, all right, who, what, where, when, why? All right, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? What are some other options I can look at this? And am I looking at it one way? What else? How would somebody else look at it? How would Tony Robbins look at this situation? Or what if he was sitting right now talking to me? What would he tell me to do? I do all of this kind of stuff. And once you get good at it, it doesn't take you that long. You could do this in 5 minutes and be like, all right, I'm good. Get back on my day, kind of deal.
Everybody needs to go get a notebook and carry it around.
Yep.
And by the way, we're talking with John Diggs, and Brichelle's website is?
Yes, it's johndiggs.com. Last name is double G. Keep that in mind when searching it. He's got all the information there, ways to contact him and see all the work that he's involved in. And we'll be right back to deep dive more on the Mappineering. I really love that.
And we're going to talk about his books. But John, I want your opinion on this piece because I think a fundamental piece of who we are is if when we decide that we're going to have integrity, not for other people, but because that's who we are and we are going to stand by it. I'd love your opinion when we get done with this break. We'll be right back. Stay with us, everybody. Here's another point to ponder from Positive Talk Radio. What is the easiest thing to justify? It is a small transgression. The one no one will ever see, no one will ever know. The tiny exaggeration on the expense report. The extra minute you took on your lunch break. The packaging you tossed in the wrong recycle bin because it was closer. In those moments, the question isn't, will I get caught? The question is, will I know? It isn't about avoiding punishment. It's a silent agreement you make with yourself when you choose to do the right thing, to return the wallet, to fix the mistake, to respect the empty space. You aren't impressing the world. You're earning your own respect. That small choice, made entirely in private, is how you build a life you never have to look away from. The only audience that matters is you. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin McDonald, and Rochelle is right there, and John Diggs is our guest, and I can even say his name. Aren't you impressed, Rochelle? That's so nice. And so thank you for having that name, John. And what did you think of that piece?
I loved it. I mean, it's very real. It's very fitting for me. You know, one of my flagship programs, my coaching, my keynotes, my workshops, my books is called I Am. You know, and it's really out of the thousands and thousands of possible mind maps people can make. There's absolutely none more important than making an I Am mind map, because it helps you get clear on who you are and what's most important in your life. So you can be the full you in public and in private, you know, and have that relationship with yourself that there's no different. You know, you're just who you are because you went through this process, and you have a clear mind map that you can reference whenever you need to. Unexpected events occur, things happen. You can always go back to your mind map and say, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. These are my core principles. And it'll get you back on track. So I love that piece because it seemed like that's what it was really referencing.
That's exactly right. And Burchell, he mentioned Wayne Dyer earlier, and I don't know that Wayne has written, he's passed now, but I don't know if he has written many more books than you have, because you, the latest one I believe that's out is called I Am, Mastering Clarity, Focus, and Purpose, which is a big deal. And the next one is Big Play Power, Mastering the Mental Game to Perform Under Pressure, which is a big deal in business and in sports. Mappineering Your College Years, Mastering College with Clarity, Focus, and Purpose. And that's a big deal because most 18, 19-year-olds have no idea what their purpose might be. Blessed and Grateful, Embracing Life's Blessings with the G word, which Rochelle calls that vitamin G, and she goes to bed every night with that. Love Life, Embracing Your Journey to Fulfill Joy. I'm not allowed to say that. Well, maybe I am. What's in your big ass box? I'm gotta ask what that is and stuff. So, okay, I give up, John. What is a big ass box?
Yeah, that's great. That was a book that I wrote as a compliment to my TEDx talk. Because as I mentioned, when I moved into my mom's house, it was literally a big ass box that I took in there of all of these books and CDs. And when I did my TEDx talk, I realized that people may not have a tangible big ass box that needs sorting like I did, but they do have a big ass brain that can follow that same principle of sorting out. You know, and inside of that box, I talk about how people often say you need to think outside of the box. You know, you need to think outside of the box. And a mind map is a great way to help you think outside of the box. And basically what they're meaning is that you need to think outside of your current set of beliefs. You know, think of something as more possible than what you believe is possible. And pretty much the walls of the box are your belief systems, your limiting beliefs. So when somebody says think outside of your box, basically it's telling you to think outside your limiting beliefs. So that book is showing people how a mind map can not just help you think outside of the box, but also put you in a position to start living outside of the box. Because
Mm.
mind maps create that imagination
I really
where you
love
don't
that,
have.
Kevin, because then it makes you think, well, what's inside the box? What's in my box? Why is
Yeah,
it there? You
right,
know?
right.
And I was thinking when it was a big ass thing, I thought John was describing me walking away from you. But
We put Kevin in the box. No.
and then I need a box to cover my big ass box thing and stuff. So I love the title. When did you decide? Because there had to be a moment in time when you decided I'm going to start writing books. And what was that process like for you? Did you do a mind map on it to do everything that you were going to do with it? And because you've become very successful at it.
I did. You know, like I said, it was during the pandemic. You know, I been a software developer. I pretty much worked from home since 2010. So when everybody was quarantined, it wasn't really a big deal for me at all because I've always worked home, you know, in my home office anyway. But with the world kind of shifting and things kind of slowing down a lot, you know, it just got the gift, you know, the thought from God to be like, you know what, now it's time to start sharing, you know, what I've been using in this tool. And back in those I mentioned those first 3 months, I mind mapped the contents of that box. The next 3 months after I did learn that the purpose of life was to love it, and the next thing is to get clear on who I am to love my life. Those next 3 months, it was the beginning of me creating what is now known as my I am mind map. And that's where I just really just put I am in the center of the mind map. And I just started asking myself some very, very serious questions like, what's most important to me in my life? Really most important to me in my life, you know, and I really just would grapple with this like all day, every day. And I came up with 4 major anchors that I call, you know, health, wealth, success, and happiness are the 4 key anchors of I am. And I was just using it back in those days, 2010. I was just using it as a tool, and I had no idea that I would ever go speak about it. It was just something that I just referenced, you know, as my life was changing, as things was going on in my life. I just was just playing with this I am mind map, just getting clear on who I am. Because, you know, once I got clear that health, wealth, and success and happiness were on the map, you know, the power about a mind map is that now it asks you, all right, well, what does health mean? So I had to really get, you know, health is so general, you know, what actually does that mean to me? So I gave it a lot of thought and I came up with a spiritual health, physical health, and mental health. I did the same thing with wealth. You know, is wealth truly just money? And after hours and hours and months of thinking about it, I came up that no, you know, I've had money and been miserable. You know, so, you know, wealth, what do I want abundance of? And I came up with, I want an abundance of positive emotions, specialized knowledge, skills, and freedom. Then when I looked at success, I asked myself the same thing. What do I want to experience success in? And I said, I want to have successful relationships, successful results, and successful rewards. Then when I looked at the happiness anchor, I said, what really needs to happen for me to be happy? You know, I really spent a lot of time, guys. This wasn't like I didn't have a job. I didn't have nothing. I was just riding my bike, walking around the streets of North Hollywood, California, just asking myself these questions. I didn't have my kids. It was really, I was just really internally doing this work. And Rochelle, I came up with, for me to be happy, I need to be blessed for my past, meaning everything that happened in my past, good or bad, I need to have blessed emotions for. I also need to be grateful for my future, everything that's coming to me. And I also need to feel fulfilled in the present. So if I can be blessed for my past, grateful for my future, and fulfilled in the present, I will be happy. So yeah,
I agree.
yeah. So that was all on that I am mind map. So as I was just playing with it, and it started really transforming my life so much so that I became the top software developer in country, really just doing some amazing work with all of these banks around the United States. Yeah, when COVID hit, I was like, you know what, I gotta start telling people, who need this tool to get clear on who they are, so they can start experiencing more of what they want in life versus what they don't want in life. And that just began this whole passionate mission that I'm on right now.
Well, and congratulations for being on that mission, because you're helping a lot of people. I do have to ask you, though, which is your favorite part? Do you like the writing part, or the speaking part, or the coaching part, or are they all combined?
Not the writing part. It's not the writing part. Let's just check that off the list. But I love what I call performing. I'm speaking a lot more now. I'm actually be at Savannah State University on Tuesday. I do live webinars, speaking to colleges, corporations, Arizona State University, Washington State University. I was just at. So I love being on stage. That's just a little performative thing. So I really dig that. But there's really nothing like, coaching people through a challenge. Coaching people through a growth moment, and seeing them get to the other side of it, and the joy and the happiness they have. I mean, those feelings are priceless. That just when you can really help somebody work through some challenges that they have, and that they're living a better life because of the work, and the conversation or the tool I introduced to them. It's nothing like that. I mean, that you can't buy this. So I would say coaching probably.
Perfect. And it's also a one-on-one thing when you can see an immediate impact and a positive impact in an individual. But you said, John, one of my favorite things that I want to discuss next, and that is Burchell. I had a friend. Okay, I've had more than one, honest, in 68 years. I've had more than one friend. And he was from New Jersey. And I said, what's the key to happiness? And he said, well, you got to do stuff. And if you do stuff and then you kind of be stuff, and then maybe you're going to do stuff, and then you're going to have to do stuff, and then maybe you'll be happy. John said it the exact opposite, which is be, do, have. And I want to talk about that because that is a fundamental shift in a lot of people's minds. Do you agree with that, Burchell?
Yes, 110%. I not only experienced it, but I'm here as a living testimony. So I'd love to talk about it.
So we need to take our we're only doing 2 breaks this time. So we need to take this one. And then we're going to be back with John Diggs. His website again, Burchell, is
johndiggs.com. Last name is Diggs. Go check it out, everybody. He's got everything available there, and get you inspired and continue following along with us in this conversation.
And that may be, by the way, one of my favorite titles of all time, which, of course, is the world famous What's in Your Big Ass Box? I just love that title. And we need to take... Burchell, there's so many places I could go with that, but I'm not going to go anywhere with that because... We're going to take this break. We'll be right back with more with John Diggs and Burchell. I love when you're smiling, Burchell. I know it's been a challenging day, but thank you for being who you are. And we'll be right back right after we do this. You're listening to Positive Talk Radio Network. We're on a mission to entertain, enlighten, empower, and educate through inspiring music, dynamic conversations, and yes, laughter. Join me, Kevin McDonald, and Brishelle as we declare our freedom from hate, division, and fear, and celebrate a better way of living. Go to positivetalkradio.net to find out more. Here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. After the longest night, the sun rose again. It painted the sky with colors no one had seen before. That's how life works. Darkness never lasts forever. No matter how long the night feels, your sunrise will come. Hold on. Light always finds its way back. You're listening to Positive Talk Radio, where stories of hope live. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin McDonald. Brishelle is right there. And John Diggs, he went through that sunrise effect when the dark night of the soul. And I just love the irony that you were sleeping on the couch that you bought for your mom.
Yeah, yes, indeed. It was a humbling experience for sure, which was actually the second time I was kind of thrown a life-changing curveball. At first was when I got 2 screws put in this knee that ended my football career. Excuse me. Yeah, that was a kind of a challenge, but what's kind of, I guess, helped me get through that time with my mom, because I realized that, challenges are only temporary. And now that I look back at it, I'm kind of grateful for some of those challenges, because it caused me to grow and become a better person. Not that I would want to relive them, but I'm kind of glad they got,
Well, and Brishelle, we all go through challenges in life, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And it's really about being able to be steady in where you're at. I'm learning, John, because you never know what's going to be thrown at you. And it's always in the times when things are so good, right? It's perfect and nothing could be better. And you feel like a princess when you wake up in the morning. And within the next few days, the universe is like, let's give you another little test just to make sure you're really on track. But being able to deal with it as it comes and goes, and knowing the decisions you're going to make, and being able to break down why you're feeling the way you are and what decision you're going to make, pretty much has full control on your future. So spending time with your now self is literally building your entire future. And I don't think people see it like that. Why is that?
Again, it just, this is where the power, why I'm so passionate of trying to get the world to take the time to create their own I am mind map. Because when you have an I am mind map that is just really articulates clearly what are your core values, what are your staunch anchors that are not compromised, you will never compromise. And this map, everything you put in this map is the core of who you are, and regardless of what life throws at you, you can always come back to this map to get centered again. Despite what's happening out here, this is who I am inside of me. That if I can connect to this, my health, my wealth, my success and happiness, and the activities that I've clearly defined on my map that I need to do every day to make sure I have excellent health, extraordinary wealth, enormous success, and extreme happiness, and you get back to focusing on that, I've been finding personally and with the people I've been working with that those external circumstances, stimuli and stuff, they don't last long. Because it's almost like you repel them, and it's almost like you telling the universe, like, despite what my circumstances are appear, I'm hallucinating what my circumstances are. Universe, I'm going inside myself to remind you this is who I am, and this is what I want to experience with my life. And part of my process, I have 3 levels to the I am system. The first one is called enlightenment, because it enlightens people to um, the I am anchors. Once they go through that, it's just basically just to get the foundation of their I am mind map together. And once that's 30-day process. Then the next 30 days is called level 2, and that's empowerment, because we take whatever they put on their I am mind map and prioritize them. You know, what's most important, and let's organize all of the things you put on there, and really create words that resonate on your mind map. So it's like an empowerment. Then that last, the level 3, which is the third 30-day of the 90-day course, is called embodiment. And a part of that embodiment is now taking everything that they built on their I am mind map, and we actually write a script that they record and listen to every night and every morning of themselves telling themselves who they are as it relates to their health, wealth, and success and happiness. So that really empowers people in such a way that when life kind of throws them curveballs, you know, it's like, all right, I'm anchored, you know, kind of like a boat. You know, the wave just shook me, but I'm still standing. You know, I know where I'm going. I know what I'm about. Versus people who don't have that clarity of themselves, or have a tool that they can reference, that they spent time to define themselves. Those people, you find, you know, are bouncing all over the place, and it may take them 8 months to deal with stuff when it could have took them, you know, 8 days, you know, to deal with something. Is where I really find the power in the I am mind map.
So through the I am as well, John, is it, oh, and Gowdy 1971, hello, Dad. He says hello. I told him to be here for this, John, because I love the framework of your work. And I'm thinking, through your experiences, once you open your mind up to the thoughts of who you are and figuring that out, was there times where maybe some of your values or your foundations and certain things changed, and you allowed that to smoothly happen because you had experienced something that your perception had now changed on?
Absolutely. I mean, when I first created my first I am mind map, 2010, I've probably had, I would say, at least 500 to 600 upgrades to it. You know,
Yeah.
not the core principles.
Yeah.
You know, the core principles would stay the same, but as I evolved and learned, you know, there were some things that resonated deeper. You know, I was like for I am excellent health spiritually. You know, when I first put that down there, my first thought was just praying. You know, but then as I kind of grew, I realized that, wait a minute, maybe I should add fasting to that too. You know, and maybe I should add, you know, maybe some retreats to that. So as you kind of grow and evolve as a person, your techniques, strategies, and approaches on how you can enhance those core things evolve and shift. You know, but the core principles, your constitution, your commandments, if you will, they don't change. You know, but the things around it may evolve and enhance, or you may adjust because it just better suits your maturity or your life or things that you learned as you grow.
I love that you said upgrade.
Oh, yeah. They're all enhancements. They're all enhancements. They're all upgrades. You know, because and again, in the third level of embodiment, I really coach people, you know, because mind maps, you don't put paragraphs or sentences on mind maps. Mind maps are all keywords, short phrases, and symbols, because that's what Tony Buzan, the father of mind mapping, you know, after studying the notes of Edison, Da Vinci, that's where he came up with all of this stuff. He looked at their notes and saw that they were nothing but keywords and symbols, is where he created the mind maps. And the mind remembers keywords and symbols more than sentences and paragraphs. And so when you have that mind map on there, what I really hope people do or coach people to do is get words that resonate with you, that create an emotion. So there's been times where I had enhancements where certain words, they may have triggered an emotion at that stage of my life, but then I may have heard somebody else speaking. It's like, you know what? That word really triggers something positive in me. So I'm gonna replace love with passion, or something like that, or desire with passion, just as an example. Because again, the most powerful piece of the whole I am mind map process is when you go into your meditation visualization and visualizing yourself actually living what you put on your I am mind map. Those key words are very important to trigger those emotions in your imagination, in your visualization process. And metaphysically, I'm really all into Dr. Neville Goddard now. I don't know if you ever heard of Neville Goddard, but I'm into Neville Goddard. He talks about a lot about how you must experience the feelings inside now before you actually experience them externally. So that in that light of that same principle, if you really want to be happy, you have to feel it in your meditation practices, what that really is going to be like once you achieve your goal, realize your dream, while you're laying in your bed. Michael Jordan said this all the time. He used to play the full basketball game in his head in the hotel room, and laying in his bed, so he knew the experiences. I think it was after the Cleveland game or something. The reporter asked him, like, Michael, what was it like, making those game-winning shots? And Michael was like, man, I knew it was going in. I saw that 1,000 times in my imagination. I felt that experience of it going in 1,000 times in my imagination. So I just live with that principle, and I teach that principle to have people really kind of connect to the emotions they want to experience in reality in their imaginations first, which is kind of like that first commercial you just talked about. What you do in private shows up in public, and kind of deal.
Kevin, what you just said reminded me of something that you taught me too, because Kevin told me, he's like, well, whatever your reality is what you're living. That's what you're getting. That's what you're asking for. And whether it's good, bad, nothing, a whole lot, a whole little, whatever you're asking for, whatever you're thinking about is what you're getting. So you're really just creating your whole reality the whole time. It's like magic.
People don't even realize it,
No, I did. John, I got to tell you, I had years ago when I first learned about be, do, have. And I had a friend from New Jersey. And I said, oh, Mark, I got to tell you about this. This is really cool. It's just, if you be, then you can be, and then you can do, and then you can have. And he said, oh, what are you talking about, dude? You got to do. If you don't do stuff, nothing's gonna happen. So you got to do stuff. And if you do stuff right, then maybe you're gonna be happy, and maybe you're gonna have more and stuff. And I said, no, that's not right. And finally, we never agreed on that. And I think he's still wandering around New Jersey someplace saying, I do stuff, man. Find me something to do. And in any, explain your philosophy behind be, do, have.
Yeah, I deal with people often, that before they get clear on who they are, who they're being, they're outdoing. And then they work so hard to reach a goal, and they reach the goal, and it's not matching the fulfillment that they thought they would get, because they wasn't clear on who they are first. So when I work with my student athletes, who wants to play in the NFL and all that stuff, and they want to go right to doing, which most is what they do. This is what you got to do. You got to hit the bag hard. No, let's sit back and let's get to who you're being first. Because once we get clear on who you're being, that will determine what you should do. It's not, you don't want to do and think that's going to change your being. No, you got to get clear on who you are, what you want. Then once you're clear with that, your actions will align with who you're being. So whatever you're working towards will give you the fulfillment you think you're going to get when you get it, kind of deal. And I think a lot of people miss that. And I see it a lot in relationships, especially being this single guy now. It's driving me nuts out here. This single nuts is a mess, because a lot of people got it backwards. They want to do relationship without clear of who they're being, or they think that if I get in a relationship, then I'll be happy. Or once I get this, then I'll be happy. Once I get that, then I'll be happy, and don't realize, no, you have to be happy first to have a relationship. And I was talking to my sister about this the other day, and so fitting on what you was just saying, Kevin, is that I just hear her rant nonstop about all of the men she don't want. I don't want a man that does this. I don't want a man that does that. No, he ain't gonna do this. He ain't gonna do this. He ain't gonna do that. And I was like, well, what kind of man do you want? I was like, then look what you're putting in the face. Why do you think you keep attracting these guys you don't want? Because you're more clear on those dudes than you are on the guy that you really want. So come over here. Let's do a mind map. Yeah.
And so what the universe is doing is it's giving her exactly what she says, which is I don't want, and the universe says I want. They take it as I want. By the way, we are a human being. We're not a human doing.
Exactly. That is the truth, which is why it's so critical to get clear on who you are. Because that really will change your beingness to give you more to make you act in the doingness to have what you want in the havingness.
Exactly. Michelle, does that make sense?
Yes, exactly. And I really want to pull this even further, John, before we close out the show, because one thing I've been hearing a lot is literally the opposite of what we learned before. And that's, to be logical. And of course, you want to have emotional intelligence. We hear that thrown around so much, but I love the way you phrase it, because you're not saying don't feel it. You're not saying don't think about it. You're just saying separate the thought and the emotion, and don't put yourself 100% in one or the other. Stand in the middle and curiously look at why you're feeling and why you're thinking, but also in the way of it being positive. You want to feel what it is like to be loved, to have love, to give love, to do those things, and to be that person. And I don't think we spend enough time on the emotional side of that. It's all just like, oh, we just got to be logical. But no, deep dive into your heart and figure it out, right? So just kind of expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's real. I mean, if you want to, and I talk to athletes about this. I just talked to Washington State football. I said, who in here wants to be a first round, playing the NFL? Every hand goes up. Then I asked them, I was like, well, who can actually see themselves playing in the NFL? Look at what I'm doing. See yourselves. Less hands come up. The hands that come up, I point to one of the guys that says, I can see it. I said, well, tell me what you feel now playing in the NFL. And I don't get clear answers. So that's what I tell them. I said, listen, today, even though you're a sophomore or junior, you have to now start feeling what it's going to be like being a first round draft pick right now. Not when you get there, but right now you need to start walking around this campus as if you're already a first round draft pick, feeling what it's going to feel like, embodying that which you want to experience right now, not later. Well, I don't know what that feels like. Well, you got an imagination, don't you? How do you imagine, what Mendoza's feeling right now? How do you imagine some of these first rounders that are playing in the NFL right now? The Tom Brady's. You can imagine what he's possibly feeling like being the GOAT. How would that feel? Yeah. Can you feel that now? Yes, you can feel that now. You can't. Well, I don't know if I can feel that now. Right. Let me ask you this. Have you ever had a dream where you were falling and you woke up like, yeah? Then you can't
about that.
So, don't say you can't. You just got to spend time, sort out all of that stuff that's going on in your mind. Open your mind up to really allow your imagination to really see yourself being that which you want to be. Now, yeah.
Exactly. Well, John, a good illustration of that. Well, you tell me if it's a good illustration of that. Is occasionally I'll want to take a nap on Sunday afternoon, so I'll turn on golf, and I always end up taking a nap. But in the process of watching them, you'll see them. They'll stand behind the ball, and they're looking down the fairway, and they're visualizing where the ball is going to go and the swing that they're going to take and how it's before they actually even address the ball. They're putting it into their mind. This is where how the swing's going to go. This is where the ball is going to go, and that's visualization. And we can all do that. That's what you're saying, right?
And manifestation, you know, and I actually have just a quick story. I know we're wrapping soon. But after we won the Aloha Bowl year at Washington State, my sophomore year, I think I'm 19, they had a Southern psychologist, sports psychologist, come talk to our team. She did her little spiel and asked people to come to her office. To my knowledge, I'm the only one who went to her office. And she asked me the most profound question I ever been asked at that stage of my life. She said, "John, what is the biggest play you can ever make playing a game of football?" And I never thought about it. I was just playing, you know, like most guys just play, but actually to clearly articulate what is the biggest play, never did it. She said, "Well, listen, spend some time, write it out, just do this exercise." I spent some time, a week or so, writing it out, took it back to her. She said, "No, it's not descriptive enough. You know, I need more adjectives, adverbs, get really descriptive." Went back a couple weeks later, wrote it. She said, "All right, guys, this is good. Now I want you to sit on my couch, and I'm actually going to read and record what you wrote. Take a deep breath, close your eyes." And this was cassette tapes. This was 89. So this was way before you was born, Rochelle. It was a long time ago. But as cassette tapes, we had Walkmans. She recorded and said, "John, just listen to it. See what happens." I think this was the spring of my sophomore year. My senior year, that play happened. My senior year, that play happened. I swear to you, it happened. I got it on YouTube. It's on video.
Describe the play, John, please.
Yeah.
It was a home game in Pullman, homecoming against UCLA. It was a 72-yard interception return for a touchdown. It happened. All I can say is that to the T, it happened. And it was so amazing that I used to really be fascinated and used to look forward to putting my headphones on and laying in my bed and experiencing me making this play. I didn't tell anybody about it. I would just go home and just listen to it and go to sleep. Didn't know what was going to happen. It was kind of fun, you know. But that senior year, it happened.
Do you remember the quarterback's name?
Tommy Maddox.
So Rochelle kind of went like this. And Maddox goes back to pass. He pulls out. He moves out to the right. He's chased. He falls. Before he falls, he throws the ball downfield. And Diggs has it. Diggs has it. He's gone. Nobody's gonna catch that kid. He's faster than the lightning. And
the interception I made was a play for a free safety, which I played. Doesn't happen all the time. That's where it's really, it was like I robbed a curl and 72 yards up the front. And it still gets me emotional to this day. And that was 30, 40 years ago. You know, just think about it, because that I know I manifest that play. And that was my first introduction to the power of visualization, imagination. And matter of fact, if you type in John Diggs, Power of Imagination on YouTube, you can see that exact play that I'm talking about. And God is my witness. That's the story behind that play.
That's how great things happen. And by the way, I wanted to mention this before we go. When you have a word that means something to you, like in my reference, the word be means something to me rather than do. I want to be happy. I want to be kind. I want to be generous. I want to be all of these things. That word will show up in almost every place that you can look.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And I'm learning to take it a step further and say, I am. Because if you say I want to be, it is like a distant separation that you're not already possessing it. to where if you say I am happy, you've already embodied that which you want to experience, and there's no gap between that unconscious thinking that I still don't have it. I want to be something kind of means like you don't have it yet. You're trying to get it to where, and that's just what I just been kind of vacillating with lately, is just like, you know what, no more I want. I am, I am this person now.
And do you remember a guy? He was a football player, and he played for the Chicago Bears. His name was Gale Sayers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he wrote a book called I Am Third. Do you remember that book at all?
I don't remember that book at all, but I would love to see it.
It was I Am Third. God is one, my family second, and I am third.
I love that.
Yeah, and he had a short career, but it was really meaningful. By the way, we've been talking with John Diggs. John, I gotta tell you, we ain't done with you. You gotta Prashel, tell him he's got to come back. He might listen to you.
Yes, John, you have to come back. Not a request.
I will come back. I love you guys. I love you. I thank you so much. I love the energy, and anything I can do to help, or anytime you need me back or want me back, just know I'm all on board.
Well, we're going to leave that up to you and your calendar and schedule of life, so we can leave our listeners watching for you. But thank you, Kevin, for making these conversations possible. Thank you, John Diggs, for being here. Everybody go to his website, johndiggs.com. You can find out everything that he has talked about throughout the show and some of his books and all the aboves. And John, really, you've got me thinking, if I could make a decision right now and have a vision and see something that maybe seems impossible, and then wait and see what happens, I wonder what everybody's little vision and their story would become. And so that's my challenge to everybody. I'm going to do the same thing. But John, please do tell us if there's any other ways for people to contact and find you and your work, and then any message you'd like to leave us with.
I'm on all social media platforms, John Diggs, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. I would encourage on my website, there is a free I am assessment. It's just about 12 questions that really kind of help people connect to themselves. That if you have any interest in an I am mind map, which I strongly encourage you, check out that assessment. It's just a free, and it has some very good questions around your health, wealth, success, and happiness that you may not have thought of, that you can use as a foundational piece to start developing a stronger relationship with yourself, to put you in the best position to love and live your best life. So I'm always here. So if you guys need anything, you can email me at john@johndiggs.com. That is DIGGS, as in can you dig it? And you can find that there. Thank you so much, Kevin and Prashel, for having me. This has been really awesome. I do these kind of a lot, I guess you could say, but this was really fun. I really appreciate you both. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, John.
Everybody go to YouTube, John Diggs, DIGGS, and go John Diggs Manifestation, and you'll see a 72-yard return for a touchdown.
There it is.
So congratulations. And by the way, having 60,000 people, or I think probably a little bit less, but stand up and cheer for you when you're doing that, and all your teammates running over to you, and there is not a better feeling in the world, is there?
That's an awesome feeling, man. I miss it. Totally miss it.
Indeed. But we got to get older. But now what you can do is you can help a young guy attain the same thing through the work that you are going to help him become a master. So
I get it. Yeah, and I'm hopeful this year. Two of my students that I've been working with, mentees, if you will, they should be going pretty high in the draft this year. So hopefully, I help them. They had some stronger seasons than expected, and they're in the combines this weekend, actually. So hopefully they do well and go high in the draft and give me a shout out for helping them. That would just really warm my heart.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what, we'll have you back on the show. Maybe bring one of them along and we'll see what turns out.
That'd be awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you, Brashelle. Thank you, John Diggs. This has been a fabulous episode. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got.